Goeiemiddag Simon, Alipad gesels het met ons natuurlik Alipad uit Rusland uit. Oh, I forgot for a minute. We are supposed to do this in English from now on. Hi Simon, all the way speaking to you from South Africa to Russia for our Suidlanders chat program, and good to see you.
Okay, hoor jy my mooi?
Daar hoor ek jou nou mooi.
Okay, en ek hoor jou ook mooi, Marius.
Dis hy.
Okay, Marius, yeah, kick off. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here to answer all questions.
Yeah, so first and foremost, our first official Suidlanders chat program while you are in Russia, and I mean, it's always so strange to think of somebody that's sitting halfway around the world, that with the technology you can speak to them as if they are right next door. So I don't know. It's just strange to think that you are all the way in Russia now, and that we are going to do a Suidlanders chat. It's nice. I like it.
I preferred it when you had to write a letter, but all right, you guys insist upon your technology. You can drag me along, kicking and screaming.
Yeah, no, definitely. Simon, let's maybe jump right into it. I think our time might be limited with our Zoom call. Anything that's significant in the world, the geopolitics of this in this recent week that has happened?
Ach, Marius, there's so much stuff going on that you almost don't want to talk about. Let me put it this way. Almost everything that's happening has a story behind it. So, for instance, we have Yemen and the USA reaching some sort of a ceasefire agreement, but not before 4 F-16s and FA-18s fell off the decks of aircraft carriers while they were doing evasive maneuvers, and at last count something like 6 MQ-9 Reaper drones were shot down, and so on and so forth. So you almost can't take a story and say, well, this is very interesting. Did you hear what Bibi Netanyahu said? And then Vladimir Putin said the next one. Blah, blah, blah. Because actually there's another half of an hour of explanation that's alien to most people that you have to give first. I would say that we are in a very tricky phase at the moment. There's a hang of a lot going on. It's all very murky and almost mysterious. But probably the one thing that we can talk about without giving a half an hour introductory spiel is the US, China sanctions, tariffs, etc. That's turning into a very big thing, in as much as in parallel to those events, those arguments, those fights, those squabbles, the Chinese foreign minister Wang Yi said something the other day about a bunch of barbarians brandishing a stick. It's becoming quite acrimonious. But beyond that, we are seeing some quite exciting developments. They're going to knock the Western financial system even more. So perhaps the right word is terrifying. But the Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans are forming some sort of a trade alliance because they're all very afraid of what sanctions might, I beg your pardon, sanctions, tariffs might do to them. The Chinese have just announced a $1.2 trillion sovereign wealth fund. There are further moves to encourage trade in currencies other than the US dollar. And we're seeing very, very poor responses in US debt buying. So much so that the Scott Bessent, the US, the George Soros, BlackRock, I beg your pardon, hedge fund manager, who's now the US Treasury Secretary, has resorted to kind of berating countries into buying US debt. Now, what we mean by US debt is bond issuance. If you hear the word treasury bill, treasury note, those are all the same thing. There's no difference between them except the period. So those differing names are nicknames pertaining to the length of a bond, a treasury bond, a treasury bill, a treasury note. They're all one and the same thing. They're a bond, they're a debt issuance. So what a country does is it says, oh, sure, but we're short of money for groceries this month, for some ongoing expenses. We'll issue bonds. And they go to the market and they make a bond issuance. It's almost like an auction, not exactly. And people buy up that debt. So China would say, yeah, I don't mind buying, in other words, effectively lending the USA $100 billion. I don't mind. I think, they're offering a nice return there. The money will be stable if I, plant money there as the Chinese Minister of Finance or whatever. What's happened in recent months is that there's been a severe drop in countries' enthusiasm for US debt. Now, what happens? So it's basically the countries seeking loans, and people don't want to loan money to the USA. What usually happens is that the yield, that is to say, the coupon that's paid, increases. So I go to Marius and Arnold, and I say, hey, boys, I'm a bit tight for money this month, man. You see, wouldn't you each lend me 1,000 Rand, please, man? And you guys say, well, what's in it for us? And I say, well, 5%. I'll give you 1,050 Rand back at the end of the month, each of you. 5% each, 2 grand. I'm in for 2,100 Rand. You get 1,050 each. You guys might say, you know what, Simon, we know that you owe money at the betting shop. We know that you owe money at the grocery shop. We know that your Edgar's and your Stutterford's clothing shops accounts are not good. You're going to have to impress us a little bit more than that. And I say, oh, yeah, that's about, boys. What about 8%? Now, in the world of high finance, fiscal finance, countries financing one another, small fractions of percent make an enormous difference.
Yeah.
And what's happening at the moment is that the traditional buyers of United States debt are balking. They're hesitant. They see that the USA has debts of $37 trillion. They see that the USA is incurring another $1 trillion debt roughly every 100 days. They see on top of that that the Doge is a pantomime. It's a little children's story. Adults are not supposed to be foolish enough to fall for it. The pantomime says to an imbecile in the USA, somebody shopping at the Walmart, and we're going to find all the wasteful expenditure because we love you so much. And that wasteful expenditure is 3 matches and a piece of string. While at the same time, they're incurring a debt of 450 watermelons and 600 iPhones. The Doge is a pantomime for kiddies, little children, too stupid to know better. It's calling in small amounts of money, while Donald Trump is saying that he wishes to extend the US military budget to $1.4 trillion. And so, for those people who've forgotten, the USA's receipts every year, the money they get in total, all of the customs, the excise, the taxes, the rebates, you name it, to the federal government, is about $4.5 trillion a year. The budget is about $6.5 trillion a year. So at present, the USA's $2 trillion behind every year. So it has to go $2 trillion more into debt. But at the moment, Donald Trump is trying very hard to make that severely more. At the end of last year, the United States defense budget had to be prepared for this year. It's just one of those very odd things that we'll discuss again when US midterm elections come along, and we'll try our damnedest to explain the Byzantine, you know, the Roman Empire split into two. The Emperor Constantine set up a new capital called Constantinople at the town, the old Greek town of Byzantium on the Black Sea. And the Eastern Roman Empire became known for complicated laws that nobody had any idea, that just nobody could follow them. And so the US's electoral system is Byzantine. You will never in your life an American. Not the most well-read person you've met in your life, not Mr. Richard A. Hamblin, not Andrew Hughes, who can explain to you in a 10-minute sitting precisely how the electoral system works and who's second in line and third and fourth and the Speaker of the House. But if it's a Tuesday, then it's the Speaker of the Senate. It's ridiculous. Similarly, this thing that we're discussing is quite complicated. But let it suffice to say, in December, the US government had to pass one part of the budget for this year, even before Donald Trump came into office. So there was an expectation that Joe Biden would be terribly, terribly spiteful, and he wouldn't pass a jolly great US defense budget. But contrary to everybody's expectations, he did Donald Trump a terribly great favor by signing off on an $895 billion defense budget, up by about $100 billion from $790 billion the previous year. And what Donald Trump said was, that's terrific, but I would prefer it if we scrapped the ceilings for these budgets. In other words, if the government gave me the permission to spend as much as I want, whenever I want, and there was pushback from the Congress, they said, whoa, buddy, you're getting a little bit carried away here. You've just gotten a $900 billion defense budget. We're already behind $2 trillion every single year in our overall budget. Be grateful. Along comes Donald Trump into the office and he says, chaps, we've got one problem here. I can go nowhere with $895 billion. You know, what do you expect me to do? He said, we need to be talking about $1.4 trillion. So the world is seeing the profligate spending of the United States of America and this Doge pantomime, this kiddies sketch, if you like, where they brag about saving, $10 million, $100 million. While on the other hand, they're talking about spending not just $2 trillion more than their income, but some more than that, and some more than that, and some more than that. And you have a president who's saying, actually, I shouldn't be capped. You should allow, if I want to spend $5 trillion on defense, you should be letting me do that. And he's saying it formally, not formally in the sense of an application or, a proposed amendment to a taxation bill or, excuse me, a spending bill. But these are not conversations being held over the lunch table at Mar-a-Lago. These are things that he's saying publicly.
Yeah.
And so, right at the moment, many countries around the world are unwilling to buy United States bonds. And the USA is issuing it's having a lot of debt issuances at the moment because it has a crisis in cash flow. People don't want to buy. So they're having to offer better yields, better interests, as I described. You and Arnold, I'm pleading for money. You know what a spendthrift I am, how uneconomical I am. You're saying, Simon, you're going to have to do better. Now, if the USA starts to offer, say, 8%, which is a ridiculous number, but it's the number that people are bandying about. Okay, how can we make this work? How can we entice the Japanese, the Chinese, and others back into the market with enthusiasm? People are saying, well, if we jack it up from 4 to 4.5, it's not going to make a difference. 5, probably not. We're going to have to. And they're talking about this number of 8%, which would bankrupt the USA. Would never be able to pay off those bonds. And I think that is possibly the most important thing that is happening in the world at the moment today, Marius, because a lot of the other events don't have knock-on consequences. What's happening in Israel is what's happening in Israel. What's happening in Ukraine is what's happening in Ukraine. Whereas what's happening in the US bond markets and in the US economy and in the US fiscus, that is to say, you and I talk about finance. If you're a government and you want to use the word finance, you word fiscus. So it's exactly the same. Yeah. My financial affairs, your financial affairs. Governments talk about our fiscal affairs. It's no difference at all. What's happening in the US fiscus has tremendous knock-on effects in terms of the US dollar, in terms of global bonds, and so on and so forth. So, that's my little spiel for today, Marius. I don't know if you've got any questions, but it's been on my mind that, in anticipation of this interview, that really the most exciting thing might not be the most exciting thing to most people. Yeah. But it's probably the most important thing because it's like clouds lowering over the world at the moment. It poses a threat to everybody. Yes. This enormous debt, yeah.
Yeah, and just something completely different, but sticking with the American theme is the new Pope is the American guy that Trump wanted to be the Pope. Yeah, wow. I didn't think
Marius,
he is going to be the choice, but well and behold, there we have it. Pope Leo, American.
Yeah, I think most people didn't expect it. I was born and raised a Roman Catholic, and I bear no grudges. I'm not here to offend Roman Catholics, but I left the faith many years ago. In fact, even though I left the faith, and I have reason for strong feelings that are not positive feelings about the faith or the persuasion, there's a part of me that retains a great deal of sympathy. It's how I grew up. It's the persuasion of my father, and filled with hatred. But I know Roman Catholicism. We were one of the 2 most active families at not 1, not 2, but 3 Roman Catholic parishes on the south coast of Natal. And all I can say is this: the superficial, it's like everything else in life, Marius. I'm not saying Roman Catholicism is deep and mysterious and dark and nothing else is. We've learned in recent years that the pharmaceutical industry is deep and dark and mysterious and wicked, and we've learned that the US government is deep and dark and mysterious and wicked. There have been many revelations in recent years, as our Savior said, and ye shall know the truth, and it shall make ye free. And he said it in a context of those times, the times that lie ahead. There will be a time when these things will become known to you. And so much has become known to us in recent years. All I want to say is that guy wasn't made the Pope because he was the best guy or because he was the most popular guy. It's because, I'm going to say this in Afrikaans, we've adopted a new policy whereby we don't speak Afrikaans in these interviews because we're endeavoring to attract international viewership, but I'll translate it immediately afterwards. Jy kom nie in daai posisie as jy nie een van hulle is nie. You don't get there. You will be stopped at gates long before the US presidency or the Secretary General of the United Nations or the head of the World Health Organization or whatever, the Pope of Rome. If you're not one of them, you don't get into that position unless you are one of them. So as far as I'm concerned, perhaps I'm a cynic, perhaps I'm not a generous man, but it worries me very much that the Pope of Rome is a man that nobody expected. The Roman Catholic cardinal system is well understood. Everybody knows who's who and who supports whom. When a dark horse comes out of nowhere to snatch the thing, you can't help but thinking, you didn't make magic.
Yeah.
Somebody made magic for you.
Yes, yeah, precisely.
Yeah. So it worries me. This election worries me. It feels sinister.
I saw in another video that they said within the first week of this new Pope that we have, Pakistan and India has made peace. USA has made peace with the Houthis. Putin wants to meet with Zelensky. Isn't he great? And I was thinking to myself, oh my word. Yeah, give it all to the Pope. But anyway, yeah, maybe we can speak about that on Thursday or something. But thanks, Simon. Yeah, great chatting with you again. Can't wait tomorrow. If there's people that's going to watch this video as soon as we put it out on YouTube tomorrow, we are doing a nice interview with some of the guests that's housing, or that's not the housing Simon, but that's his guests in Russia. So can't wait for that. Speaking with Simon and some of his Russian, how can you say,
hosts.
Host.
Host is the word that you're looking for.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, our host. The interview will be with one man alone. You're aware of certain things, Marius, that not everybody will be aware of, but it's with our host, and we all look forward to it. He's a super guy, and I apologize to everybody for my dicey camera arrangement here. I'm trying my best. It drives Marius and Arnold crazy that I'm a troglodyte, a cave dweller when it comes to technology. But little bit by little bit, I've got my little camera stand, and here's a selfie stick. I'm going to be experimenting with a selfie stick. As you can see, look how I've launched myself into the 21st century. I've got a microphone with an earphone meshed into one another. So I did that for Marius and Arnold. I can tell you genuinely, I did do that.
Yeah.
For them. And I've got here.
And we appreciate
another another microphone thing. This is a different system that works a different way. And my conscience was bothering me for quite some time. I know Arnold was desperate for me to improve my game. And I'm endeavoring to do so. But I apologize for the dicey. I couldn't get this bloody stand to sit nicely. Anyway, thanks, Marius.
Great. Have a nice evening, and chat to you tomorrow, Simon.
Chat to you from Moscow tomorrow, northeast Moscow. I'll tell you, without keeping you on the phone, We're in the northeast of Moscow. We're going to be in the old American Embassy accommodation or residential compound. And there's a very exciting kind of environment to be in, very exciting people around us. We've been introduced to the most exciting people, and they're giving us lots of attention, and we look forward to chatting to them. And then after that, we're going to be going up to the far north, to the White Sea, to the submarine pens, and doing some other things. So yeah, look forward to seeing you to tomorrow night, everybody. Thank you.
No. Okay, Simon. Cheers, man. Bye-bye.
Good night. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Technology. Goodness me.
Dis hy. Dit was natuurlijk Simon Roche. Sorry, ek slaan alweer oor Afrikaans toe. That was, of course, Simon Roche speaking with us out of Russia for our Suidlanders chat program that we do Tuesdays and Thursdays. And yeah, tomorrow we're going to have a nice interview with Simon and his host that is hosting him in Russia. So look forward to that video also coming out. From my side, I hope you have a blessed evening or day or morning, depends on when you are watching the video. Cheers. Goodbye.